let's get into the first guy on our list. Who are you going to pop up? I have notes everywhere. Who will be popping up? Derrick Henry, of course. We're starting with the king. Derrick Henry, 29.9 years old, going to be 30, obviously, in the next month or so. He's playing with the Tennessee Titans. He's been there for a very, very long time. He didn't really break out till year 2019. The 3 previous years before that, he was just a backup or somebody who they didn't really get going. And I thought he was a bust. Not going to lie. I was making fun of people. I remember, for example, in one of my dynasty leagues way back in 2018, somebody traded like a first round pick and a key piece for Henry. And I just laughed. I made fun of this guy and this guy's still in my league. Bama won. I'm going to call him out for who he is. I laughed at him forever, trashed him. Well, joke's on me, because ever since then, he's been the most dominant running back in the NFL, and I was wrong. We were all wrong, honestly. We didn't see this coming.
Yeah.
There was that stretch where I think Sunday Night Football or a Thursday night game where he ran for 200 yards. That was his first game. And I remember talking with Dirtbag Dave, and we're like, do we need to start Henry? Do we need to put him in our lineups? And then the very next week, he did like 200 something yards again. I'm like,
yep.
I guess we just need to put him in our lineups. And that was the first trait that we got from Derrick Henry. Whoa. We have someone in the chat saying he thought Calvin Johnson was going to be a bust. That's a bad call too. Hey, we all have them. We really do. We all do. But what are your thoughts on Derrick Henry going forward for dynasty purposes before I get into my
stuff? So Derrick Henry, as we know, is going to be 30 years old. He's going to be 30 next season. And the Titans are clearly going a different direction. They could have traded him at the deadline, but it's kind of nice that they didn't, in a way, just get rid of him. He gets to go out on his own terms. He gets to go to the team that he wants to go to, sign the contract that he wants to sign. So I think he's still going to be a productive running back next year, but I think it's going to be to a team that is more in the hunt for the Super Bowl. He's got to get that ring at some point. He's too dominant not to have a ring. It would be really a shame. Do you want me to talk about where I think he...
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so my number one team, we talked, you might have seen this in the chat even. The number one team I have him going to is the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, they have Tony Pollard, but Tony Pollard is also going to be a free agent this offseason. We're actually going to talk about Tony Pollard a little bit later today. Tony has pretty much shown that he cannot be a solo running back. They need another running back on that team, like Zeke Elliott, maybe Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry can be a complete game wrecker on that offense, and that offense is already pretty solid enough. If they add Derrick Henry to this lineup, that's going to just make it better. I see it only being a positive. Another team I could possibly see him going to would be the Los Angeles Chargers, but that's if he wants to go to a team that is like going to have a new coaching staff, a new front office. He has Justin Herbert, has Keenan Allen, but that's about it. Add Derrick Henry. I think Dallas is the more complete team here that he would want to go to. That could end up needing at least one running back, if not two.
So spots for running backs are difficult. I'm just going to say that up front because they could be dominant, they could be elite, but they don't really value running backs in the NFL. That being said, he's 30 years old. You know, he's not going to get paid the money he probably wants to get paid or deserves to get paid. That's just the nature of the beast. At this age, he's going to sign with the team after the age of 30 years old. We don't see that being very successful for many teams or very many running backs. Look at even Dalvin Cook this year. He's not 30 years old, and he went and signed with the Jets, and he's been a ghost. He's been useless. He's dead. That's just the way it is. What's going on, Riley? Thanks for joining. Hey, Big McD, I see you as well. But I do want to say since 2019, and there's reasons, there's tread on this guy's. I hate when people say there's no tread left on the tires or there's some kind of whatever they say. Look, since 2019, he's had the most carries of any running back in the NFL, and we all knew that. But it's by a lot. He's had 1,463. That's 219 carries per season. It's so low because last year he missed 8 games because he was hurt, and this year is incomplete. So that number will go up the average. In that time frame, he is number one. Josh Jacobs is second with 1,305. So 58 more carries than Josh Jacobs in that time. That's a lot. Zeke is number 3, 1,141. So way more than Zeke. And Dalvin Cook is fourth with, again, 1,100. So he's destroying them. What makes this special? Now, I gave these stats out to a listener earlier today. He's like, yeah, everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. Yeah. But he did it in less games. Josh Jacobs has played 5 more games. Zeke has played 8 more games. Cook has played 3 more games than Derrick Henry. And they're all far behind him in rushing attempts. He is a volume player. He's a volume king. He needs to go to a team that's going to commit to running the ball. Cleveland's perfect. Cleveland has a winning team. Cleveland has a great defense. Cleveland has a quarterback that's really not interested in playing football, it appears. But if he ever gets intact to play football, they just had this major injury to Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb's never going to be the same. It's just a fact of life. It's unfortunate. Why not bring in Derrick Henry? You slow Nick Chubb back in. You have this big, heavy hitter, 2-punch man, like the 2 best running backs in the NFL in their time period. I know it's not going to happen, but he needs to go to a team where they run the ball majority of the time, because we see right now in Tennessee, right now, when they're down, it's Tajay Spears. Tajay Spears is getting 54% of the snaps right now because they're down so often. Henry's only in positions where he needs to be in, where they're trying to run the ball out or in the red zone. Henry's got the lowest yards per carry in his career since 2017, 4.1 yards per carry. Still good, right? Still good, but it's his lowest. He's definitely on the decline in his career. He's going to struggle to hit that 1,200-yard mark rushing. He's going to struggle to hit 1,000. I don't know where he's at right now personally, but I know he's very low. And it's going to be easy for Tennessee to get rid of him. Like I said, they have Tajay Spears, 3rd-round pick out of Tulane. He's 22 and a half years old. He's got 54% of the snap share already. He's 8th in the NFL for running back targets. He's got a 5.7 yards per touch. Is this the Tony Pollard factor where he's just a change-up guy? Is this the Tony Pollard factor where he comes in and he's just a change of pace and the defense isn't really ready for him? If they prepare for him, maybe he will get slowed down. I'm not sure. But I do see him on the field. He's explosive. He's a great talent, which is going to make it so much easier for Tennessee to move on from Derrick Henry. I don't know where he's going to end up, but wherever he does end up, it needs to be a high volume rushing attack with a lot of red zone attempts, a lot of touchdowns, because he doesn't really produce without those touchdowns. He doesn't catch the ball. He has 10 catches on the season right now. That's not going to do it. The reason why he's so effective is because of the touchdowns. Buffalo, people want to see him in Buffalo, probably not going to happen. People want to see him on the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, not going to happen. He wants to go to a contender, possibly, but can these contenders afford him? Or does a scheme fit him? Right? If you put in a square piece to a circle hole, it's not going to fit. That's what Derrick Henry is right now. He needs the volume to be effective. He's not only a guy who can get 12 carries and produce like a DeAndre Swift. It's just not going to happen. So hopefully he can find the right spot. I don't know where, but he's not dead. He's
definitely not dead. Every year I continue to think this is the year Derrick Henry dies. This is the year Derrick Henry falls. And I traded him like 2 years ago in Dynasty. And every year I'm just like, could have got more out of him. Dang.
Could have got more out of him.
And well, not just more out of him on my team, but I could have got more assets out of Derrick Henry because he's still producing at a high level. You're still starting him. I'm starting him. I drafted him in the 3rd round in Scott Fishbowl this year, but in Dynasty, this is much different. He is older. You are right, though. He needs to go to a team that he's going to get the volume. He's going to get the goal line carries. And I think if you get down to the goal line, this is the guy that you put in at this point that vultures the touchdowns from the other running back. I don't see him going to the Chiefs, especially with them having Pacheco really doing well. This is 100% right. I think the Browns could be a good landing spot with Nick Chubb. I have them as listed as could add a running back in 2024. But yeah, the Browns, Cowboys, and Chargers are the 3 that I'm probably looking at. It's definitely not going to be the Titans, though.
I'll leave you with this, and we'll move on to the next guy. There's only one guy since 2019 that's averaged 100 yards rushing a game. That's averaged. He averages 100 yards a game on the ground. That's Derrick Henry. No one's even close to that. He has 20 more touchdowns than the next guy. He has 66 touchdowns since 2019. Josh Jacobs, 46. He's just a dominant beast. You can't replace him. First ballot Hall of Famer for sure. And I can't believe I missed on this guy. I cannot believe how much I missed on this guy.
Yeah, for sure.